Let's Talk Assets podcast. My name is Chris A. Williams, one of your hosts, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Giovanni Paradise.
Today, y'all, we have a very, very special guest. We got a 757 legend in the building, Quin Blanding. Now, if you don't know Quin Blanding, there's no way you're from the 757. But let's say you're someone not from here and you're looking to know about Quin. Let me read some of y'all's Quin stats. So Quin was a 5-star football recruit. He was ranked as the #1 player at his position in the nation, ranked as a top 5 player in the nation, a high school All-American, meaning he played in the All-American Bowl, a nationally televised game. He had over 25 offers from the top schools in the nation. And when I talk about the top schools, y'all, I'm talking about the Alabamas, the Clemson, the Notre Dames, the Ohio States, the Oregon, Notre Dame, all of them. But he did end up committing to University of Virginia, a very prestigious school. In college, Quin was the first true freshman to start an opening game since 1976. He also started every single game his freshman year and broke long-standing records. He was the conference defensive rookie of the year, and in his collegiate career, he ended up breaking the school records for most tackles by a defensive back. He finished top 10 in tackles all time by any player, which is an amazing feat for a defensive back, by the way, y'all. And he was an All-American. Quin, that's a mouthful, but we welcome you to the podcast.
Welcome, baby.
No, I appreciate you guys. And those stats I haven't heard in a long time. And, it's almost been 10 years since I stepped on UVA's campus as a first year to play in those games. But it's an honor to be here. I appreciate you guys for having me up here. But this setup, and I'm going to keep saying it, is the best setup I've ever been a part of. The best interview kind of setting that I've been a part of. And,
shout out to Sony.
Absolutely. But, I just want to say I appreciate you guys for having me up here.
Absolutely. So, Chris talked about some of your stats, Quin, and, obviously high school, right? Yeah. Everyone thinks back to their teenage years in high school, and they remember, man, high school was the time of their life. So walk me through how high school was different for you than the average kid.
Yeah, I think so. Just going back to being from Bayside High School, my whole entire family tree, I guess, went to Bayside High School. So I had teachers there that probably coached my dad or, taught my mom, my sisters, everybody. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm the next one in line to go to Bayside. So it's like, you get to hold yourself accountable at those moments. But it's not even that. It's just understanding what my dreams and my goals were. I wanted to be in the NFL. I wanted to play in the NFL. I wanted to get that gold jacket around my shoulders when it was all said and done. And so my drive and my focus was strictly football. And I thought to myself, I had to be the perfect person. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do no wrong. I had to get good grades. I couldn't mess around outside. Once I left, I was training or I was home. Like, that was it. I didn't have the luxury of trying to go out and hang out on 17th Street down at wherever the Dairy Queen is.
Yes, sir.
I didn't have time for that. Like, I went down to the beach, but it was more during the day. I didn't have those times to go out and enjoy friends in a sense of get in trouble. I had to be perfect. I had to be spotless because that's what I thought was going to get me to that next level. So I just thought that's what I had to be, and that's what I had to do to sacrifice all my time to make it to where I wanted to be.
Definitely takes a lot of discipline, especially in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kids still, right? I mean, I even think after high school, we're still kids. We're not thinking like adults. But walk us through when, a lot of kids have that dream. Even kids there might be kids watching this podcast or collegiate athletes that still have that dream. Mm-hmm. When did you feel, or when did you know that I think this is a reality? I think that I can go to the league.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good question because a lot of people going to say, oh, since birth. I mean, I didn't have a choice to play football. Like, my dad played it, my uncles played it, my brothers played it. So it was like, I didn't have a choice. So it was just like, hey, what are you going to do? But it really it sank into me when I got to high school, my first year of high school, and I played baseball too. And my football coach, Coach Moore, I remember to this day, he was like, you got to choose which one you going to do, baseball or football.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? I love football too much to let it go. And I said, you know what? From this day on, this is my passion. This is what I'm going to do. And I was like, you know what? This is where it starts right here. And then once I started catching passes from EJ in the gym one year when he came back my first year, in the first summer I went to meet all the team, he was throwing me passes and I was catching them. I'm like, this is a college quarterback throwing me the football right now. He's going to go to the NFL soon. Oh, I can play this game. Not knowing I didn't want to be a receiver. I could care less about that. But I just knew, I said, yeah, it's time to go. I mean, I've always been talented growing up. I've always been the best kid on the field. But I was like, going in as a true freshman at Bayside High School, yeah, no, it's really time for me to shine, really time for me to elevate, really time for me to show these people who I am. And so that's what I've been about. I mean, everyone knows my dad, my brothers, so I'm like, my uncles, so I'm like, all right, now I got to make a name for myself. How can I prove myself to outshine them? So, I mean, I got cousins, that all went to Green Run and all those guys balled too. So now I'm like, how do I keep up with them? And I showed what I got and I just did what I had to do. And I was like, you know what? I can make it to the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you said, you balled on the highest level, high school, college, and so on and so on. So how did you get to that point? As we talked about, being a high school kid, you're tempted a lot, especially a person of your magnitude. Yeah. So did you have like a consistent schedule you had or something to make sure that you didn't have any distractions or anything like that?
I don't even think it was distractions at the moment. I just think it was the people around me. I think I, kept my circle very small. I didn't really have all, friends from all over. It was just like my family was my friends. Like I kept everybody close. And I think they seen the potential. They knew what I was about. And it was like, yeah, we're not letting him go down the path that everyone else goes down to. So it was like my mom, my dad, my grandmother, they're like, no, this is what you're doing. This is how I got to get done. Like my mentors, my coaches, and it's like, you got a chance to be at the next level. Like, it sucks to say, like, I talk to my dad all the time, like he had the chance. I talk to my brothers all the time. They had the chance to go, but no one made it. So I took it upon myself to put the weight on my shoulders. Like, nah, I'm built different. Yeah. Like I'm going to make it. So it wasn't even like, all those distractions were there. Yeah. Like, I mean, everyone's a kid. Everyone makes mistakes, but it's like, I seen it firsthand. I knew what it's like. I grew up in that area. I'm like, I'm not going to be a statistic. Like, I'm going to make it out of here. Now, a lot of people make it out of here. So I'm like, you know what? It's really time for me to put my head down and just go. That's what I was been taught my whole life. So that's what I keep doing to this day to be where I'm at now. And I just stayed focused and I just kept laser cut and just knew I had dreams and goals to reach.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, and like I said, this is a question that really I wanted to kind of bring you back in time. You had a lot of offers.
Yeah.
A lot of offers. We know a lot about, everyone from Virginia knows UVA, great school, top, academic school, a lot of opportunities, in a very beautiful area. How does someone who wants to be in the NFL turn down? Because UVA is not known as a major football school. They're not putting a lot of talent at your position. Yeah. I think UVA has a lot of linemen, right? That usually goes to the league. But historically, at your position, you're like, okay, my path to the NFL, you made a different decision. Like that probably wasn't the easiest path for you to take to the NFL. UVA probably wasn't it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you took the road less traveled. Why? Walk us through that decision.
No, absolutely. And like you mentioned earlier with the Alabamas, the Oregon, Ohio States, I've seen Nick Saban. I met Urban Meyer. They all came to Bayside. But it was the driving factor of, I want to make a difference. I want to make a change. There's another Quin Blanding somewhere out there in Oregon going to Oregon. There's another Quin Blanding out there going to Alabama. There's another one going to Ohio State. Why join the same bandwagon? Like, and a lot of people think, back in the 90s and the 80s, Virginia was top 1, top 2, top 5 in the country. Like top dogs were going there. Like from the Herman Moores, the Sherman Moores, like even looking at Anthony Poindexter, like Ahmad Hawkins, like Tony Cove, like those people were ballers. Tiki Barbers, the Barbers, like Thomas Jones.
The Jones brother,
like everybody was going there. Marcus Higgins, like all these people are from Virginia Beach, the Hampton Roads area.
Absolutely.
Why not go do the same thing? Yeah. Why not go change a culture around and put Virginia back on the map? And I mean, everyone sees tattoos, but I mean, 757 is tatted on me.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Because I believe in it. Like, I believe in this culture here. Like, a lot of people don't understand this culture. A lot of people don't understand that, you know, what we do here is just work. We work to get to where we want to be. And if that's how it's seen, what you guys do, you guys work to get to where you want to be. And that's what we know because it's in our blood. Like, you look at the top people come here. Pharrell does something in the water. He worked to build to all those places he's got. It's because this blood here is different. And I believe in that. Like, I believe in my blood is different. And then people are like, oh, y'all can't play football there? Okay, come try us. Like, that's how I feel because it's just like, okay. So I wanted to take that same energy and those guys that were going to UVA all from this area.
Yeah.
Like, after my class, we started dropping down from this area. And you can see the results. Yeah. Like, we wanted to go there to change a program, change a culture. And like you said, I've had all of those offers. I never regret it. Yeah. Like, I posted on Twitter last night an old photo of me. That was from my first year. Like, when I won all those awards, like, it was like, let's do a photo shoot with you. Cool. My thing was socks. I love socks. Love funky socks. Like, I like just having cool things about me. Yeah. That was a photo shoot. But it was like, that was the young me, but my mindset is still the same because that blood is in me. Yeah. And that's how I grind and get to where I am now. Yeah. And so I will never change that about anything. People say, oh, could have went there and it had just been easier for you to go to the NFL. Okay. Nothing in my life has been easy.
I love that. That's a great answer. That's a better answer than I thought you were going to say. Yeah, that's a solid answer.
Yeah. So we know you talked about the pressure you put on your shoulders, right? You know, being a highly touted recruit, also going to UVA, kind of representing for the 757, trying to bring people back. Yeah. So how do you deal with that pressure, you know? Because that's a lot to have on your shoulders.
It was. And funny enough, I started my podcast back during COVID. A lot of people don't know this, but still, you know, are learning this about me. It was tough. Like, it was to a point where, like, I was doing and playing football for others. I was out there, but me personally, I really wasn't out there. I just played the game I love at the highest level. When I stepped on the field, I was in a different space. But I stepped off the field, pressure, weight, anxiety. Like, what am I going to do next? How can I take care of my family? How can I make sure this person eats? How can I make sure that person eats? How can I take care of all of this around me? But I wasn't even taking care of myself. My mental was gone. Like, I was in a bad place. Like,
at UVA?
At UVA. My mindset of just having that pressure on me, it was like, I have to make it. Like, if I don't make it, what's next?
So, I mean,
are you going to be a bust? Are you a failure?
Yeah, I mean, you were the defensive rookie of the year. Yeah. You set the record for the most, you know, tackles by a defensive back. I mean, so mentally, you know, you really learn to compartmentalize.
Yeah, because your performance on the field was crazy. So,
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
It's just I played. Once I stepped on the field, I was in a different world.
You were able to shut off.
Everything around me went silent. I knew I can hear the crowd. I knew where my family was. If you ask anybody in my family, I knew exactly where they sat at any game, no matter if it was a away game or a home game. I knew exactly where they sat. And I will look to them every time I made a play. Every time I did something, I knew where they were. But once I stepped on that field, that stress, that anxiety, silence. But the second I step off, it's back on. Because now I got to make sure I'm perfect. I got to make sure I do this. I got to make sure I do that. I don't want the scouts to see this. I don't want them to see that. They can't hear about this. They can't hear about that. Like, I had to make it. Because I didn't want to come back here and someone be like, oh, yeah, you should have been the one to make it. Like, I mean, I still get that now, but it's like, I'm at peace with that now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before, it was tough. Like, my mental was bad. Like, all those accolades, that's just me playing.
Well, now hearing that from you, Quinn, and for the audience, for those who don't know, Quinn is my cousin. And so when he speaks of that family aspect of it, I remember, and the family still talks about it to this day, how much they loved watching you play at UVA and how special it was for them. So to kind of sacrifice, right, and put what you were going through aside and to give them that joy, I have a lot of respect for you because that's tough, man. Yeah, that's tough.
It was tough. Like, I mean, I talked about it before on my podcast where I just opened up about it because at those moments, I didn't know what I was going through. I didn't know what I was fighting. I didn't know what I was
still
facing.
Very young, though, bro.
I was
still a teenager, right?
I didn't know who to speak to. I mean, we had psychologists there, but did I really want to speak to him? Yeah. Because he doesn't know me. He's like, he's a great guy though. I talk to him all the time, but he's a great guy. But I'm like, you're not from Virginia. You're not from Virginia Beach to Hampton Roads. You don't know the life that I'd seen growing up. Is like, how can I relate to you? How can you relate to me? I never understood that. I didn't understand that until when I was done 2 years later, after I got done out of the NFL. 2 years later, when those times I said, something's wrong and I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
I have to change this mindset that I'm in, because I was down bad.
Yeah.
Like, it was times I didn't know how to ask for help. I've never been a guy to ask for help. But then when that happened, I had to start asking. I had to let that fear go of like, hey, can you help me? Like, I need help. Like, I had to tell myself I need help.
That takes a lot of courage.
A lot of courage
to do that.
So would you say when you kind of got through that, like how did you get through that is what I would say. You know, you mentioned you being in a bad mental space and such with playing. Are you in a better mental space now? Let's start that.
Listen, when I tell you I'm at the best point of my life, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. It's like no tomorrow. If you asked me a few years ago, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know where I was going to be. I didn't know, if I'm going to still be wearing different type of clothes. Like, I'm in my work uniform.
Yeah.
I wear scrubs for a living. I don't have to hurt my body no more.
Yeah.
I get to wake up and go impact patients' lives. I get to go and talk to interact with physicians who've been to school for 12 years. I get to talk with nurse managers, charge nurses. Like, I get to talk to these people every single day to help patients' algorithms, to help patient treatment, healthcare. I'm in those buildings now. I have no ounce of regret, no ounce of bad blood, no bad for what? I'm living now.
Yeah.
And I would say I'm at the best part of my life right now. Like, my journey is truly beginning right now. And you said how I get through it? I mean, of course, I just sat there and prayed all the time. I just had to really change my mindset, change how I thought, change how I move, how I walk. Now I'm living.
Let's thank you for sharing that, man. And we're happy to hear that you're in that space now. But take us back to your senior year at UVA, because you obviously graduated.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I got a degree. I do have a degree. I do have a degree.
And then look, one thing I can remember from the family, it was always talked about, because you were obviously balling out. It was always talked about, is Quinn going to finish?
Yeah.
That was always a question in the family. Everyone talked about, is Quinn going to,
leaving early?
Yeah, leaving early. Was he going to graduate? Everyone was like, he could go to the league now. He should go now. He shouldn't wait. He should go now, because if he gets hurt, and like he finished. So, and congratulations. That's not easy. It's a prestigious school to have my partner, Ron, he graduated from UVA Law.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So that's his alma mater. So he's a big fan.
See, wahoo wah.
Yeah, my partner is a big fan of you.
Yeah, wahoo wah. I love it.
And just walk us through that senior year. Football's done, right? You're coming up on graduation.
Yeah.
What's going through your head? What's next for you? What are you thinking's next?
You know what's crazy? I didn't even walk for graduation.
Really?
Why?
I didn't walk. I was training.
Oh wow.
So technically I finished 3.5. So I did 3.5 years. I took a lot of summer school, not just because I was behind. I wanted to get ahead.
Yeah.
So my last semester, I don't have to worry about nothing but training. So I did it. I did 3.5 years at UVA. Last semester, I had no classes. I'm done.
Yeah.
I basically just wait for my diploma at the end of the semester, and I graduated in May, basically. So I was like, I'm training. I was back here training. I didn't even go to graduation. And that's one thing I would say. I don't regret a lot of things, but that's one thing I regret not doing. Wearing a cap and gown and walking across that stage and just saying, I really accomplished what I set out to do. Absolutely. And I know it was just like, I have my diploma. I love it. I look at it all the time, but it's like, that's one thing I regret not doing, was going to actually get my degree from it. Shake hands, left hand, right hand, whatever, how the thing goes, turn my cap, toss it. It's the one thing I regret. But going back to my senior year, at that moment, all I could think about was ball. All I could think about was football. Okay, what team's going to draft me? Who's looking like this? Where am I going to go? How am I going to fit in? What can I do to set myself apart? I started training for the draft at 218. My final weigh-in was 203.
Wow.
I've never been that low.
Why did now who told you to drop weight?
So it wasn't even like it happened like that. It was just my training regimen was just that intense. Like it was like the main question was, how fast can he run? Every day, training, like 40s, like I'm hitting 10 splits, 30 splits, 40 splits. Like I wanted to make sure all those answers that they wanted to get answered, those scouts, was going to get checked off the box. I could care about the rest.
Because, I mean, you're measurables. You're a big guy for your position.
Exactly.
You're a big guy.
Film too. You're
exactly.
And your film, so you can hit.
Exactly. So it's like, I wanted
to
to stand apart, say, hey, I can cover that back end. Because they didn't think I could run. I proved it. I play football.
Yeah.
I don't run track. I play football. And
so
game
speed's different, right?
It's very different. But, no one puts that 2 and 2 together unless you're like that top guy. Like if I went anywhere else, it wouldn't have been a question. Yeah. Because it just would have happened that way. But I'm at UVA. We don't win. They don't really care. Whatever. So I'm going to go show you.
Absolutely. So where were you at? Like as far as, because what year was this again?
2018.
2018. So I was gone. So I wasn't with the family at that time. But so walk me through what the mindset was as far as what were scouts, what were your coaches, what were the professionals telling you were going to go?
No one had a right answer.
Okay.
I will say that. I went to the Reese's Bowl. It's another senior bowl for, college seniors. Balled out there. Was top 3 in tackles, tied for second in tackles. The other guy was Davenport that went to the New Orleans.
Yep.
He's a DN, but it's like, how am I going to out-tackle that guy? That's how it should be. Like, I shouldn't be making all the tackles. I'm in safety. So it's like, my mindset there was just like, wherever I go, somebody got to pay the price. I don't care if it's first round, second round, third round. I want to see my name called across that board because if you look, forget those accolades. If we go to stats-wise, no one's better than me. Yeah. Like, my stats are unbelievable. It's one stat that a lot of people don't know about. I'm top 5 in the whole NCAA in tackles. Wow. Like, I'm behind Luke Kuechly. I'm actually number 4. Luke Kuechly's number 2. Wow. All-time tackles in NCAA history.
Yeah. That's insane.
As a safety. Yeah. I'm like, I'm getting drafted. My name's getting called on that board. But my focus is like, whoever chooses me, they already know what they're going to get. Yeah. Because football was my life. But at the same time, my mental still wasn't good though. Yeah. Because I'm still fighting those inner battles of like, how do I please my family? How do I please the crowd? How do I please everyone around me? But my drive was like, I'm going to get a yellow jacket, a gold jacket at the end of the day. And when that process happened, I didn't go to the draft. I had it down the beach at the Turtle Cave, had a nice little family get together, watched the draft. And when my name didn't get called, I left. My family was still there partying. I left. I went home for like 2 hours. Like, I was destroyed. Yeah. Like, I thought at that moment my life was over. And you was talking about what's next. I didn't think of what's next.
But you didn't quit.
Yeah. I didn't.
Because you made it.
I did. But at that moment,
all the air was sucked out of you.
Yeah. It was. I didn't have this mental I have now. I didn't think about what was next. Yeah. It was what was next. It was, I'm back home now. There's nothing else I can do. Yeah. Our Declease ain't coming on again. I'm just, it is what it is. I was down bad. Yeah.
How'd you pull yourself out of that?
I went back to be with my family. Had a good old party with them. I was getting calls from coaches like, hey, we're calling these people to get you somewhere or something. I just was glad I went back to be with family. Yeah. So let's talk about that too also, because we talked about all your stats, all your accolades. Yeah. So all the stats, all your accolades say you should have been, taken off that board. So why do you think, just reflecting back on it now, why do you think it didn't work out that way? At a certain point, when you just ball out the way you do, everyone thinks you're just going to plateau. Everyone thinks you're just going to stay the same. There's no really room for growth. You're just where you are. And that's it. That's fine with me. Cool. A lot of people were leaving the image of a big body safety. A lot of people wanted the shorter, a little faster, twitchier people. Yeah. But it's okay. Because then when I got to the league, played with Washington my first year, went to training camp, did all that preseason, had a great time.
Can you tell us how you got there, though?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so they called, of course, and it was like they were going to sign me to a future
What night?
deal. Funny thing is, 3 days later.
3 days later.
3 days.
So
later.
you had to deal with defeat, disappointment, and letdown for 3 days. You didn't know.
3
Wow.
days.
What were you doing for those 3 days?
Sleeping, playing the game, in my own little world, just trying to manage life.
So they called your phone.
So my agent called me and was like, "Hey, got the Redskins on the line. They want to sign you to a futures deal or practice squad, sign you to practice squad." And I was like, okay, or training camp, whatever it's called at the moment. I was like, all right, this is my shot. This is my chance. No one else is called. What to do now? Let's just go out there and do what you do best. Ball. Have fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I went there, killed rookie mini camp. Great. Went to big training camp. Balling out there. Get graded out hundreds every week. I'm barely practicing. I'm barely playing. I'm on the sideline. I remember this vividly. We're at FedEx Stadium. We're playing Denver. I'm calling out plays from the sideline of what Denver's about to run. That's how in tune I was with film. Mind you, I'm not practicing. I'm barely getting in. It's like the third preseason game or something. So when it's third preseason game, the vets are suiting up.
Yeah.
They get their shine. They get to play a little bit. I'm looking at this. I'm like, oh, they about to run this. Run it. Oh, they about to do this. They do it. I had the training staff look at me. One of the trainers look at me. He was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, watch this play. It's about to happen. They run it. He's like, oh, yeah. That's how in tuned I was. Football, oh, I can sit here and talk X's and O's all day. I can draw it up. I can build it. But I was like, you know what? Cool. Get to the end of, the season, preseason. It was like, all right, we're going to let you go. Oh, well, what you mean let me go? Like, I'm done. I went home. I literally, that day, mind you, and I hope he sees this one day, my DB coach didn't even give me an exit interview.
Wow.
Didn't even give me an exit interview. Everyone else talked to me, but my DB coach. Guess who I seen leaving the facility? My DB coach outside running. Didn't say nothing. But I remember this to this day because it only made me work harder. But I remember leaving from Washington, wherever in Ashburn, Virginia.
Yep.
I drove to Charlottesville, Virginia. And I was at UVA's first game that day. Hurt. Disappointed.
That's great that you showed up for the young guys, though.
Disappointed, though. Hurt. Like, I told you, when I didn't get drafted, thought life was over. Me getting cut, definitely thought life was over. Like, I was like, this is not it.
Yeah.
Then at the time, my sister lived in Fredericksburg, Jordan.
Yep.
Lived in Fredericksburg. Cool. Let me stay in your basement. I couldn't go home.
Why?
I was terrified.
You got to face that.
I had to face, like, walking and seeing people's faces and like, oh, you're this. Why are you home? Like,
that pressure on the shoulders you were talking about.
Do it. Yeah. I couldn't do it. I stayed in my sister's basement from from August, September, all the way into November. I didn't go home. I was scared to go home. And I was literally that some nights I cry myself to sleep. I wake up, I go to sleep at 4 a.m., wake up at 8, drive to UVA, barely get a workout in, drive an hour back to Fredericksburg, do it all over again. It was bad. Like at that moment, I knew life was like, it was not it for me no more.
It was rock bottom.
It was. And it, like we mentioned, I've been at the high my whole life, but I had to still work when I was young to get to that high. And it's when you build that structure up and then someone just knocks it down. How do I build that up again?
Yeah.
How do I go from rock bottom again at this age to get to there? It's easy when you're young because all you're doing your whole life is building.
Yep.
But when you already built, how do you rebuild again from something you already started from scratch from? Like, how do you do that all over again? Like, I didn't understand that at the time. It was stressful. I didn't want to face it. I never wanted to face it. Like, that was my biggest fear in life, was going back home, seeing someone in the grocery store. Like, oh, why are you home? Like, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. Someone looking at me all crazy or, oh, you're a failure. That's what I thought. Like, I didn't even want to face people like that I knew personally. Like, oh, you're a failure. That's what I thought the whole time. And then October comes around. I'm like, this is not the life I want to be. It's not the life I want to live. Like, I started reaching out to people trying to figure out what was next. I'm like, I don't know what's next. But this is still at the moment, I don't know how to ask for help. I'm just Googling things, trying different things. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, what's next? But then I'm like, I got with my boy. He's my trainer. He's my best friend. And I got back to training. That's what I love to do. I got back to working out, got myself back to where I wanted to be. Got signed to Carolina that year, the end of that year. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to shake. Then I get to Carolina. I mean, they did what they did too. So I'm like, I made practice squad that year. But I'm like, you know what? This is a step. I'm going to be the best practice squad player that y'all ever seen. It was to the point I was out there talking junk to Christian McCaffrey in front of the GMs, the owner. I'm talking crazy to him like he's just a regular person that ever played football. Like,
probably the best running back in the league.
Ever. Ever.
Yeah, probably.
Like,
when it's all
like what I'm seeing is like what I'm seeing face to face.
There's nothing that he can't do.
There's nothing he can't do. I'm sitting there talking junk to him like, oh no, that's a tackle. You know, we're not tackling them. Oh no, that's a tackle. We talking junk like we are outside and we don't know each other. That's what I brought to the table. Then after that year, we get a new coach, new staff. He bring in a bunch of players he knew. I'm still outshining them. At the end, it's like, yeah, we got to let you go.
Politics.
Yeah, it's a lot of politics, it seems like.
You got to let me go again? I'm like, well, why this time? My DB coach talked to me, though. And he said, you're the smartest player I talked to. You're one of the smartest people I know that can actually play this game. And I said, you know what? I appreciate you for at least talking to me. But the head coach at the time couldn't look me in the eyes and tell me he was letting me go. I would never forget that. To this day, if you're going to let me go, just tell me to my face. At this point, I'm older now. I understand the business. I understand the game. If you're going to let me go, there's no hard feelings. I understand this part now. Before, I didn't understand in Washington. Like, it is what it is. But now me being smart and getting to, as to why I'm also here, this is when I started to realize I knew football wasn't going to be for long. When I understand there's something else that has to come after this. Because I'm a bubble guy. I'm the guy that's on the bubble. I can go at any moment. There's guys coming in every Tuesday and Wednesdays, workouts, having tryouts. I don't know if they're my position or not. It could be a lineman trying out. They may need a lineman. They can let me go. I had to start figuring out what was next. Like, now my mindset is starting to change here. Like, now I'm starting to think about real life here. Because at the end of the day, if I get let go, it's like, how many times am I going to get picked back up? I don't know. I could be the best player ever. I still don't know when I'm getting picked back up.
So now you're on to your next move. So tell us about that. I know you touched on that earlier. You're really impacting people, saving people's lives and such. But tell the audience, more about that.
Yeah. So my degree is in sociology. So my whole life, I wanted to be a social worker. I wanted to help people. I want to empower the youth, empower teens, empower adults just to get to that next phase in their life. And social work in my mind was that way. Like, I love helping people, but I never knew the true meaning of help for myself to really help others. And so throughout my journey in life, I was like, okay, once I really found the power and help is when I reached out to one of my mentors. And I literally remember this. It was July 4th, 2022. I was in Austin, Texas. We was at one of these Airbnbs because we were going to go out for July 4th downtown or something. And I remember I just called him and I just said, hey, I know it's the weekend. I don't mean to bother you. But mind you, I've been down for an NFL for 2 years at this point. I got let go in 2020. Haven't put on my cleats to actually be on the field in 2 years.
What were you doing at the time?
Anything possible.
For work?
For anything possible. Good thing I learned to save $1. I had good savings, but it was like I was living off of savings. I tried everything you can think of. Amazon shipping. I done resale shoes. I done anything you can possibly think of. in the entrepreneur space, I done.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I tried it. I spent tons of money on courses, on trying this. I've done it because I needed to find the next thing because I was still now understanding life and I still didn't know what my next move was. But I also, to this point, I still have a business at this rate with Phase 5 Fitness and Performance, what we do cryotherapy.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So this started actually in 2018 with my boy when I was with Washington. Because I called him one night, we're at the hotel. I'm just like, recovery is a big aspect of my life. Recovery helped me be to where I am. And I always loved cryotherapy. Ever since I started cryotherapy, I love it. I'm like, we need to start something like this because if you think about it around here, how many recovery places do you see? How many cryotherapy places do you actually see and go to? I'm like,
they're limited. I mean, they're starting to pop up.
They are starting to pop up.
I just did cryotherapy for the last month for the very first time. The dude kept telling me to do it. I was like, I was nervous. I did it. I've never felt that type of euphoria in my life.
It's amazing.
It changed.
You think it's worth it?
Oh my God. I was just nervous because like, oh, it's cold. It's easier than the ice bath. Way easier.
Oh,
because you don't get wet. It's all that water is gone,
and it's only near and it's cold like minutes. Boom! It's like it's instant cold. So you go numb like the tub. You slowly chill.
Yeah, you slowly chill. Then it just simmers out. Then now you're warm again.
Yeah.
Like with cryotherapy, it's really shocking your body. Like it's shocking the body. Say, hey, we need to send help to wherever those areas of soreness, arthritis or any kind of pain is at. We need to send blood there now. It's really opening that blood and pushing that blood right there, right now, because everything is going to your center or your core to protect those big organs, and it's to protect it. But now all the workers are getting spread out. It happens faster. So now you got to think like, okay, now how recovery is that? Like, how does that help my recovery? Before practice, after practice, in between. People are doing it before games and after games. Like after you've done played, cool toe. That's what everyone thought.
Yep.
Oh, put ice on your ankle. When you get all of that full body right then and there, it's amazing. Yeah. And I just wanted to bring that back here because all I knew was it was the one on Laskin. Yep. The only cryo
one on Restore. That's where I go.
Yep. It was the only one at that moment in this time that was close.
Yep.
But it was still very far.
Yeah.
I'm all the way on Town Center. I got to go all the way down to Laskin just to do recovery.
Yeah.
I'm like, there has to be a better way.
Yeah. Walk us through your business model.
Yeah. So it had to be a better way in my mind to think like, how can we make this one affordable and one feasible and actually get people there? Like, how are we going to get the people that are in this area to us? And so we were like, okay. So my boy was like, give me a day or so. But mind you, I'm looking at storefronts. I'm looking at how much cryotherapy costs. I'm looking at all the machines. I'm like, if I see what Restore does, how can I make the same thing but put it local in Town Center? And he called me back 2 days later. He was like, what do you think about a mobile cryotherapy? I was like, mobile? He was like, yeah, we can go to people. I was like, I'm with it. Because in the sense of like thinking about it, well, I pay an overhead when we're just basically going to pay a card note in a sense. We're just paying a card note just for the trailer, basically. Just to pull a trailer up and down 64, going down 95, going to Florida, going to UVA, going wherever. It's like, you know what? That's smart. Because now we eliminate things for everyone to say, oh, well, it's too far. We can't go. No, we're right outside.
Yep. And that
make
allows you to expand and scale.
Exactly. Make it simple for people. We're going to come to you instead of you have to always come to us. Come right to me. I'm right outside.
How much you guys charge for a session?
So it depends. So if we go, let's just say a big tournament, right? Or if we pull up to a local gym, depending on the gym, depending on, if we're thinking number wise, $35 a session, $30 a session.
Wow.
Not bad.
When you're charging, go to a storefront, it's about $85, $89 just for a session. We also have reboots. Add an extra $5 or $10 to that. You're paying half of what you're doing at a storefront right here local. It's a full body chamber. You just walk in the trailer, get in, walk out. Same thing. Yeah. You have the reboots. We have chairs. We have it all. So it's in a system of, we're not here to say like, at the end of the day, we want to make money. It's the bottom line. Everybody wants to make money, but it's not always about making money. It's always about helping the next person. How can we make this person better? How can we help recovery impact someone's life? And this is why I really started to feel like this is where help was for me, to help the next person to say,
Absolutely.
this can help you longevity wise versus I'm just trying to give you a product. Here it is. Use it.
And what areas do you guys service?
So we service all over, honestly. Like it's local here in Virginia Beach. It sits at the Sportsplex all the time.
Okay.
We work major tournaments at the Sportsplex. We have one coming up, I think, in a couple of weeks there. We travel down to Florida because I play on a flag team. We travel with that to the flag tournaments. Wherever they are, we had contracts with ODUs, football, men's and women's basketball.
That's beautiful.
Like, we do a lot of things. We pull up to local gyms. We advertise these things. Like, it's to better people. It's not even just for athletes. It's for the average person going to the gym.
Yeah.
It's for those who just want to recover. Like, cryotherapy is becoming a thing.
Yeah.
And that it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to build upon itself. And it's going to be for everybody. And that's how we promote it. It's for everybody.
Yeah.
Come just recover.
What's the name of your business? For
So it's Phase 5 Fitness and Performance. So you can that's on Instagram as well. And it's always by the Sportsplex. Once you pull into the Sportsplex, it's that big trailer. It has a girl and a guy outside of it. On the outside of it, it's a nice little wrapping. We provide everything. And it's a home feeling. That's what we wanted to build. It was home versus going to a storefront where it's like, it's business.
Yeah.
This is home for us.
Yeah.
There's something real crucial that I want the audience. I want to ask you something to bring out to the audience.
Yeah.
You don't do this full time. You started this business. You have a career.
Yeah.
Tell us about your career and tell us, how do you balance? Because a lot of people, right, won't start the journey of entrepreneurship. They won't become, I got a career. I don't have enough time. I can't do it because I have my career.
But you balance both of them.
Yeah.
Tell us how.
No, absolutely. And I think that's a great point. And honestly, too, like learning more about myself, too, like at the beginning stages, it was rough because I was like, at one point, that was the only job I was doing. But then it's like, I got this job that I do now with medical device sales. It's like, okay, how can I manage that now, too?
And and explain the responsibility of that.
So in medical device sales is what I do is I'm at hospitals all day, every day, whether that's working with physicians, whether that's working with techs, my nurse managers, my charge nurses to basically provide these devices to help patient outcomes. And I'm in the procedures with these physicians and I'm helping them troubleshoot if need to. I'm providing suggestions. I'm providing options. I'm, essentially, I don't want to say this, and I'm a doctor without being a doctor in a sense. Like I have to know everything going on inside of that room to make sure that I'm there for the patient. Because at the end of the day, we're patient first. That bottom line, I want to make sure even if it's my device or someone else's device, and I tell people this all the time, the patient comes first to me. I could care less. I want to make sure I'm there to protect that patient and make sure everything runs smooth. That's my job. Some days I'm up at 6 a.m. because first case at 7. Sometimes I'm at a hospital till 8 p.m. at night doing cases. Yeah. But I'm there. If a physician has a scope in their hand, I'm there. Yeah. Because I believe building that respect, earning their trust at the end of the day.
Yeah. So we mentioned, you work in both, right? Phase 5 performance and also medical device sales. Yeah. So I know a lot of entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs, they think, okay, I'm going to start a business. I have to do everything myself. Yeah. No, are you doing everything yourself? Would you work in both businesses or kind of how do you operate that?
So no, that's a good question. Cause like I said, at first I was like, my business partner is my boy. Like, of course, like we're good friends. He's like a brother to me and we work it together. But at one point I was the sole face of it at one point because that's all I worked because he had another job too. So it's like, hey, you got to work that job. All right, I'm working this. I help figure this out. All right, find what tournaments is doing this. All right, how many people? Okay, who do I need to email? Blah, blah, blah. All right, what's the price set? Like, hey, here's what it is. And then it kind of flipped once I got this job. It was like, okay, he was kind of managing the front end of it now. I'm kind of on the back end. Like, hey, what's going on? Do you need anything? And this is when I moved to Boston. So I'm the furthest away from it now. So now I'm trying to figure out, hey, is there a tournament? Like, do you need me? Are you good? Like, do we need to get somebody? Like, what's going on? Talk to me. Then he ended up moving away further. So it's like, all right, what do we do now? How do we keep this going? Then, of course, we manage and we train someone who runs it when we're not here. So now it's on the point of like, all right, we still do the work on the front end too.
Mhm.
Like, I want to know what tournaments we're going to, who's running it, what's going on, how can I help manage this business as well. All I want this person to do, hey, get the trailer there,
Mm-hmm.
run the sessions, get everything done. We'll pay you. Here's your check.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to stingy. Like, hey, no, do this for free. No, like, hey, I'm still going to do the work up front. I want to know what's going on because I love being hands-on because I still love learning about this business.
Absolutely.
How can I improve myself? How can I continue to be a better businessman at the end of the day and keep promoting it out and still be hands-on? Like, at some point, yeah, you want to lay back and kick your feet up and have fun and let the business work for you. But I'm just so hands-on and like, that's how I learn. I learn by being hands-on and that's where I'm at my best. And so to manage both of that, I mean, of course, my main career is going to get majority of my time.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an honest assessment.
Well, what separates your company from everyone else in your industry?
Like I said, it's home. Like when you walk in and you see the trailer, we have signatures from high schoolers, college, all around the wall because we make it home. Like when these people step in there, it's like we got music playing, whatever song you guys, we'll have fun with it. We bring home to you, basically. Opposed to like you just going to a storefront, they got the little elevator music playing. It's nice though. Yeah, I love it. It's an amazing feeling.
So here's a different experience.
It's just a different experience. It's home. Like, and at the end of the day too, it's regular people. Mm-hmm. It's just me and my boy doing it, or whoever's working with us doing it, and it's just a amazing feeling just to be a part of that and just continue to build upon that. So I always say it's home when you walk in.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I know we touched on some of the great things that you're doing, you know, in your business with Phase 5 and things like that. But I want to ask you, Quinn, what is the biggest asset either about you or about your company that you feel like you can offer to the world?
I think that's a great question that a lot of people don't think about. And I think a lot of times people go straight for the business first. I think it starts with yourself. Like you have to be the biggest asset. And I think the biggest asset that I've learned, I told you before, I was down bad from 2018 to 2020, really 2014 to 2020. I wasn't in the right headspace. I didn't have the right mental capacity to do what I thought living was. When I figured out the definition of how to live, that became my biggest asset in life, was to live, to really truly be myself and to live. That's the biggest asset that if I could ever tell anybody anything, is to truly find you first. Don't look nowhere else. Look yourself in the mirror and say, this is my asset. Because you don't know how to function. What are you to life? What are you to this world? And a lot of people don't get that. But I said, you know what? That's how I separate myself. I've been different. I've always been different. I've always been the most talented sometimes, been the most smartest. But how can I really separate myself? It's because I know me. If you look at all these people talking nowadays, people just be talking. But I was watching Cam one time. Cam Newton. He's himself. He's authentic. He knows him. I know myself. I know me. That's my biggest asset. And that's going to make my business an asset because I'm a big asset to myself first. And then everything else around me, it grows. That's the point of life for me. That's what I bring to the world as an asset, is me. And I think that's the most important thing people have to realize in this world. For us, this world to keep going, it starts with us. And in the younger generation, it starts with us. Because I didn't have mentors really growing up. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys had the mentors growing up and people to really show us what life was. But now we understand what life is. We're those mentors. We understand the life. We understand the role in what we play in. We're assets. And that's what I love about this podcast, honestly. Like when I first heard the name, I'm like, that's an amazing name. I'm like, dang, why didn't I think of this name? My podcast was QB Knows. I'm like, dang, assets probably would have been really better because it's like, that's what people bring to this world. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I remember the first episode you mentioned of talking about just people don't come up, people don't give free game no more. People don't just talk to people. People don't just inspire to provide and put people on. People don't do that no more. But watching this podcast, I'm like, this is amazing because that's the only podcast I like to watch because it's real, it's authentic. It shows what life is really about, to give free game back. Like, I'm like, I love it. Then you asked me to be on. I said, sure, just tell me when.
Yes, sir.
I didn't matter when it was. I was going to be here because I was like, people don't get this no more.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that there's thousands of people out there, right?
Yeah.
Every year that go through similar what you go through. I mean, the collegiate athletes, D1 athletes, because a very small subset even get a chance to put on the NFL uniform like you did, and even a smaller subset make a career out of it or can stay. Because like you said, there's so many people in the NFL that are bubble guys.
Yep.
It is.
A majority of them. And you're one injury away. I don't care if you're an all-pro in the NFL, you're one injury away from being a bubble guy and being out the league. We've seen it. I mean, from big-name recruits, Heisman Trophy winners, it doesn't matter. You can one injury away. And that's why, like, I think that this is so important for them to watch, and why I wanted you, to come on, and we're honored to have you, is because they've gone through those things. And professional athletes, people don't realize the pressure that's on them. They only see the glamour. They look at you and they envy you, but not knowing your struggles, not knowing what you went through, and then to go through that, to hit rock bottom, and then to kind of refine yourself, rediscover yourself and your purpose. And then, hey, yeah, you have a career, but also, look, I also have a business. And a lot of people make an excuse of why they can't start a business.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had known, obviously through the family, you had a business. I didn't know too much about it. Just from a bird's eye view, knew some stuff. I'm like, wow, Quinn's went through what he went through. He has a whole career. And like, I knew you moved up to Massachusetts. I was living up there. He hit me. I was like, man, Quinn moved to Massachusetts. And then you're back down here in Richmond, which you're closer to family. They're all stoked. But then you got this business going on. And I just think that it goes to show you guys can go through adversity.
Yeah.
For the people out there, you go through so much in ups and downs. It doesn't matter. You were at the top of the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there doesn't matter. You can fall.
Yeah.
You get knocked down on your, as long as you fall. And I use that quote I said in the podcast. If you fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And, we love to have people from all different types of backgrounds that have gone through these things, because our last guest had a, different story, but he fell. He went through rock bottom and before he got to where and a lot of people just think that this journey and this thing in life and about being successful, finding your purpose is all sunshine and rainbows.
No, sir.
That it's like this. They think their trajectory is like, okay, I graduate high school, go to college, get a job, get a career, boom, boom, everything's sunshines and rainbows. There's going to be storms. There's going to be storms. And that's why, we love to have people on here to share their story.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, what we've been through and the things we've been through, but other people are going out there and you cannot quit.
Yep.
That's the thing. Because you could have, you could have like just kind of thrown your hands up, I'm not in the NFL, I'm depressed. You pulled yourself out of that, and it takes a lot.
Yeah. No, but to that point is just a lot of people say that, like a lot of people do quit, but I told myself I'm not going to be one of those guys. Like I've already faced that fear of like going home and like, oh, people are going to say this. I've already faced it. I'm not going to be the person they say, oh, you quit. Oh, you gave up now? No, because it's never been never been inside of me to quit.
Yep.
So I say, you know what? It's time to go. Like, and I like to fall back and you just fall on your back because you can look up. I've always said fall forward. Denzel Washington did a speech at Penn. It's called Fall Forward. And he talks about if you fall forward, you're still gaining inches. Yep. You're still falling forward. Because once you get up from falling forward, you're closer to where you were. You're not falling backwards, because you fall back, you get up, you're still in the same place. You fall forward, you're still gaining something from this experience. And so that's what I put my mind to. I did a monologue in public speaking class in college, like, because it stuck with me. I resonated with it because now it's to the point of like, everything I do, I fall forward. I know I'm going to fail. Like, some people don't do this. I prepare to fail, because now how am I going to climb up? How am I going to get up? Like, I go into these cases, I think the worst, like, because I want to know, can I build myself out of this? How can I get us out of this situation?
Awesome.
Because I think that's the most important thing. People just prepare for the most glory things in life. Cool. Okay. How are you going to handle when you fail?
Yep.
And people don't understand how to fail. I love failing because you know what? I'm growing.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know how to elevate from here.
Yep. Quinn, we definitely appreciate you coming out here, man, and sharing your story with the public. I know someone is definitely going to be impacted by your story. You know how you were saying all those people, you know, you were scared to come back home because you were saying they would look at you as a failure and such. Yeah. I know when they see this podcast, they won't look at you that way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so tell us as we wrap this up, again, shout out your business again, tell everybody, you know, if they want to use your business, how to get in touch with you, and tell us what's next for Quin Blanding.
Yep. So thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
Honestly, this has been great. I haven't done an interview or a podcast in a long time.
Absolutely.
But it's been amazing to be here. I mean, of course we're family, but gain a new person in contact and friend and to build relationships with too. But I think this is a perfect thing you guys are doing, especially for this area, this community.
Yes, sir.
We needed it, honestly. But you guys can look at Phase 5 Fitness and Performance. You can follow that on Instagram. You can contact me on Instagram at just Quinn_Blanding. It doesn't matter. I'm always available. I'm always willing to talk, whether it's business or just life. Because I think like I said, that's the biggest asset that I can give to people. Mm-hmm. It's just my knowledge that I've been through. I'm not perfect. I'm not somebody that walks around and says I have all the answers. Mm-hmm. But no, my experiences got me to where I am, and I love it. I'm 27. But I'm an old man at heart. I feel like I'm an old soul, and I love it because a lot of people call me that. And so, if you guys want to talk, I'm available at any time. But what's next for me? I'm continuing to build. I'm continuing to build, continue to grow, and venture off into different avenues. Because at the end of the day, this is my career. I love what I do. But at the end of the day, at some point, having kids and having a family at some point down the road, I don't have kids and I'm not married. So don't get any ideas.
Come on, ladies.
Don't even do that either. Don't even do that either. But, you know, it's time to really just evolve into the human being that I'm being and really put my foot like really in the earth and really just start building and growing into whatever I think is fitting my style and what I love to do, and whatever comes to my mind, I'm ready to attack it. And so that's what's next for me, honestly. So
love it.
Amazing.
Yep. So that's me. And I just want to say thank you guys.
God, we appreciate your time. And, you know, thank you guys for joining us. Giovanni here with
Chris A. Williams.
Let's talk assets.
Let's talk assets.